Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. In this video, we're going to be examining the 10 most popular countries that watch me as a YouTuber, and also then looking at why there hasn't been certain representation, and obviously how diverse we can make the new champions coming into the game so that they kind of like represent you lovely people from all the different countries that watch me. In particular, this part 1 will focus on the UK, obviously, America, Canada, India, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, Singapore and the Netherlands. So let's begin with Britain. Obviously it's the closest thing to my heart. It is basically my home nation, or home grouping of nations, whatever you want to call it or classify it. And the main one is Captain Britain. Obviously Captain Britain, Captain America, kind of similar in any kind of way, but the whole kind of concepts around Captain Britain start from his historical or mythological kind of backstory, with Merlin offering at the point of death the amulet of life, or like a sword of might and kind of power, and he chooses the amulet of life, choosing it over the sword because he felt that he wasn't a warrior. Instead he lacked any kind of that warrior instinct, but obviously all that changes in the future. However, though, that kind of great mythological kind of link is a really cool aspect to this particular character. With regards to addition to the game, I strongly believe in Captain Britain being put in at some point. He has exactly the same things of Captain America with regards to superhuman reflex, stamina, strength, but the added benefit is he can fly. Yeah, screw you Captain America, you can't even fly. So that's something that's different, so how they would kind of like work that out would be quite cool. Like a flying Captain America. Man, they are totally different, but they are pretty much the same, aren't they? Very patriotic. And next up is America. Yeah, a lot of my videos are watched as well as subscribed to in America, so obviously thank you for the support. But at the same time, it's hard to find a character of yours that isn't in the game. And Jessica Jones is technically in the game, but she's not. Like, her character details are in there. At some point, I hope that she will be an addition to the game. It's disappointing that they missed the boat with regards to Season 2 of Jessica Jones. I reckon they're probably waiting for some sponsorship money in order to do it. But just to give you an idea, when I've logged into the game, trying to now find a champion that is American or not. Like, we've got Blade, American, Rogue, American, Iceman, American, Cyclops, American. The list goes on with regards to American-based champions or characters. So it is cool to have that representation, but at the same time, it's hard to find one that's not in the game. But I think Jessica Jones is a good fit. She has a very dark backstory. At the same time, she is, you know, she's kicking ass where she can. Through a car accident and radiation poisoning, she was able to develop some amazing powers as a result. And there's like a long list of powers that she has, but mainly the kind of core elements are strength orientated and kind of superhuman strength and some like superhuman stamina to it. The other thing she can tap into is flight in the very beginning. I don't think that's something that then continues on. And the next thing is like telepathic resistance. And in some ways this can be referenced with what happened in the events of Season 1 with what's his name, David Tennant as the villain for that. I can't remember what his name was, but that's something that will probably come to me right at the end. Either way, it's cool to see champions like this, especially female ones, coming into the game. I would like to see her in. I think a lot of players would probably like to see her in. I'm sure that some others wouldn't really care, but I think it should be a good addition. Next up is Aurora. I came across this for Canada, and you lovely people in Canada. This particular character coming out of Quebec, as well as like this whole really dark Catholic school upbringing and kind of strictness that she was given. And we hear a lot about how strict Catholic schools are. So she's effectively like a damaged goods type kind of character, similar to the horrible experiments that were put towards our previous champion, Jessica Jones. When she found that her mutant powers were kind of developing a lot more, Jenny Marie Baubier, I think I'm saying that right, then kind of like went towards her kind of sister, the nun or whatever it is, and said like, oh, I've got these powers. And she was brutally kind of hit for blaspheming, and that is just like, you know, that is to shape someone in a very negative light going forward to adulthood. Aurora's main power is focused on photokinesis, so she's able to kind of manipulate things with regards to light, with intensities, with blasts, and all manner of kind of like, well, light. She also has superhuman speed, and also that's kind of worked around things like acceleration of molecular level with things like objects and kind of living tissues with regards to like speeding them up is like theoretically tearing them apart with the extent of stress. Reflexes there, as well as flight. There's so many things about Aurora that make her fantastic, and quite weirdly enough, there used to be a talk of this Area 51 project called the Aurora project, and it was about like a super craft that could go immense speeds. I don't know if there's anything about that nowadays, but I like that link between Aurora and this element, and as well as the Area 51 conspiracy stories. Funnily enough, that gets touched upon with these extension of other abilities. Either way, I can see a fantastic addition if Aurora was put in, and the lovely folks in Canada should consider that. I mean, kabam, Vancouver, get your asses in gear and get this particular champion in, because I'd like to kind of use her, because I think she's going to be amazing. I found this champion pretty fascinating, and that is Neil Shera from India, Calcutta to be exact. So namaste to my Indian subscribers that are watching, and that is the thing. Like, I'd love to see this champion in, because it would be a great addition to the contest. Great story with regards to his brother Sanjit being taken away and trying to be turned into a Sentinel Prime, but the powers of this champion would be insane. Thunderbird, as he's called, would be just hitting up some straight solar based power, which similar to Hyperion. However, though, I think they'll do this guy justice if they put him into the game, because he'll be able to be so strong, emit so much of this thermal energy that is just going to kick ass and put so much incinerate damage down on the enemy. Really would like to see this one in the game. Next up, and Guten Tag to my German watchers, and yeah, Blitzkrieg or Blitzkrieger, depending on what outlet you're looking at. Some people call him Blitzkrieger, some people call him Blitzkrieg. Similar to Electro, but this guy is a good guy, not a bad guy. The story with this one is that there was this power plant, there's electrical fault. It meant that he was bathed in electricity, woke from a coma, found that he could wield and kind of utilize things with regards to electricity and weaponize it, or kind of like form it into weapons. And he wants to kind of do good by the means of democracy. So yeah, I like this hero into the game. I really think it will be a good addition. But the major difference to Electro with this one is that Blitzkrieg can create like things like shields, like I said, weaponry, so actually kind of like physical constructs from the lightning. The other thing, he's lightning immune, so shock immunity, get in. Like, imagine that, fighting up against Electro and having Blitzkrieg being immune to that shock damage that's kind of by proxy. So yeah, I would, like I said, really would like this in the game. Next up, and shout out to my Brazil watchers, in that we've got Roberto da Costa. We've got Sunspot himself, a great mutant, amazing amount of power, but at the same time, we did see him in Days of Future Past, so he did reach the big screen, but he got absolutely annihilated, which was a bit disappointing, because he is incredibly strong as a mutant. If you then compare him to, like, say, Pyro, Sunspot is just like excellent. His story is, at the age of 14, he was playing a soccer match, and in the soccer match there was someone that was being racially abusive to him, and it resulted in him being knocked to the ground, only for his powers, his mutant powers, to manifest, which then meant that he was able to kind of throw away the person that was beating up on him. And it was kind of good to see that kind of rise, because that's a lot of things with regards to mutants or any kind of character, Marvel character, or any kind of comic book character, is that story that defines them with regards to like what makes them manifest their powers, or kind of what shapes them with regards to their next motivations, or maybe even their dark pasts or dark things that they rely on to kind of further themselves in their development. When it comes to putting this champion in the game, if he was to go in, we would see someone that is able to control a lot of solar based activity, and some kind of relationship between maybe like day and night with regards to like how powerful he is. Like if you play him during the day, he's a lot more powerful. That would be kind of cool. Either way, like you're going to see a lot of things with regards to heat, light damage. There's going to be things maybe with regards to incineration, lots of things that are going to be able to, like, energy damage is going to be off the scales. This is kind of like, it's not close to an Omega level mutant, but I think he is definitely like pushing that. So if he ever gets put in the game, the Brazil people are going to represent with regards to this amazing champion. Next, it's over to Mexico, and we've got this great champion and character, Julio Richter. This guy is, he looks cool. At the same time, his powers are kind of similar to Quake's with regards to like seismic activity powers, and we'll go on a bit more about that in a moment. Dark backstory, got involved with the wrong types of things with regards to arms deals, went to prison, saw his dad get killed, very sad, but at the same time he was then able to kind of get out there. He was then abducted, joined a good team, and things seem to be going a little bit better for him at the moment. Okay, on to abilities. This is the exciting thing, in that we have got a champion that could be seismic shock resistant, in that the immunity is there. So if you're going up against Quake, take this guy, because like she will not stand a chance. And people going, oh yeah, she's a god tier now. Yeah, but if this guy was ever added, he's going to be immune to that. So if you ever got to face off against him, when it comes to an event quest, man, you are not taking Quake into the game for this. He's a really cool character. I would like to see this one represent for Mexico. Next up is Red Feather. This is a kind of a Tony Stark meets kind of like Batman type vibe with regards to Red Feather. He is a Filipino, so shout out to the Philippines and Filipino watchers. This would be a good addition. This would be mainly a skill addition. The kind of concepts around this guy is like, I've heard things, read things like maybe he's got flight, so maybe that's going to be his special ability. But at the same time, there's not a huge amount of kind of powers going for this particular character. Either way, the kind of links between him and the Triumph division and the kind of future, because people take up the mantle with regards to Red Feather, and there's like a third Red Feather, there's even a female Red Feather, so there's so many different options with regards to if they were to choose to do it. And I think it would be a cool addition. The character looks quite cool, so maybe as a champion he would be a quite cool addition, but mainly skill based as opposed to anything else. And maybe that, well, maybe even tech, and they could like improve it with regards to suit. But either way, yeah, nice to kind of represent for the lovely Filipinos that play the game and also watch Marvel Contest of Champions based content. Next over to Singapore, and it's Jasan Hoan. Hopefully I'm saying that right, because I'm looking at it like there's a bit of an accent. Jasan Hoan, either there's an accent somewhere, and yeah, not a huge amount of representation with characters from Marvel when it comes to Singapore. The only one that I could really find that could be a kind of fighting-based champion would be Jasan, really, because she has hand-to-hand combat experience, a lot of kind of prowess when it comes to business, and it has this kind of kind of Batman vibe to it, or kind of like a little bit Tony Stark, except for obviously the difference is that there's a lot more tech to Tony Stark than there would be with this one, and also with a comparison with Batman. Jason then was kind of like outed by a family, like pushed away because like she survived an attack where other people died. She then kind of didn't understand like the values of what she was offering to life, and went off to an island, and on that island she then met up with Wolverine. There's a thing with Wolverine with regards to like he's doing some kind of spiritual quest thing, but at the same time he's like understanding like what he should do, how he should help out. In any case, the whole kind of thing comes to a head. She then forms the alias, which is like Tiger, and the whole emphasis of her as like a champion would probably be about skill-based combat, and whether or not she'd be a villain or a heroine, it's very hard to kind of like pinpoint the two based on what her motivations would be. But check her out because she's got a lot of kind of like diverse kind of history to her. Links for all of the champions that we discussed are in the description. And the final one to talk about is Claw, Ulysses Claw. Now, my own thought process and opinion, and reason I cite is because I felt that a lot of the elements of Black Panther with regards to this particular character was not utilized to the best of its ability with regards to like timelines, kind of introducing, having the character. It was portrayed so well by Andy Serkis, and the usage of that character kind of just like flagged off, and they could have done so much more. They could have even done something with regards to continuing on the movies, rather than Marvel's typical thing, which is either have the villain in for one movie and kill them off type vibe, which I just cannot stand. I know there's loads of villains to go through, but you could do a lot more with that, even for 1 or 2 films to kind of fill out this kind of villain. The links with this one that I really enjoy are the links to Hydra. We've also got a link to Nazi war criminals, in that he's the son of one, which, you know, it's not cool, but it's cool to formulate a kind of historical based backstory, which is exciting for me to kind of understand. Also the stuff with Wakanda, like the whole kind of element of years that it's been, what he's been doing, the intel that he gave to Hydra with regards to what was going off in Wakanda is pretty darn cool. And the reason that I've put in this one into our list is because he is from the Netherlands, so it's kind of cool to kind of put that in. It's hard to find a lot of heroes here or there, but I think one of the most substantial things to come out of the Netherlands is Ulysses Claw. Regardless of what you kind of feel about his backstory, it's kind of cool to have a character from the same country that you're from, regardless, like I said, if he's a villain or a hero. Obviously, if you've seen Black Panther the film, you'll know that, well, you'll know something happened to Claw which was not particularly great. Either way, a lot of the stuff with regards to abilities, if it was transferred into the game, would be either taking off the model that was more robotic, or they'd be doing the very kind of Andy Serkis based model to it, or kind of working in between it. There's a lot of changes that he even looks at nowadays more robotic than he does when it comes to the more kind of a fleshier version. And it's all about that kind of like one arm that's a sound kind of like pulsing thing. There's a lot of things with regards to that, how like supersonic sounds and how sound can then damage things, which is pretty darn cool. It gives this kind of like weird canon in the movies, and there's a lot of change. But talking about the movies, I like the movie version of Andy Serkis' portrayal, especially when he's in that chair singing, "Baby, don't hurt me no more." So that has been our video, guys. If you did enjoy it, then hit that like button, and obviously to those countries too. Obviously United Kingdom, where I'm from, America, Canada, India, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, Philippines, Singapore and Netherlands. There were some champions that I chose that I think will be amazing additions to the game for different and various reasons. Obviously, if you've got any suggestions from that country that you want to say, hey, I would have preferred this one, then put it in the comment section. Look out for part 2. We'll be looking at 10 more other countries that are from my viewership base and also subscription based to kind of cover and go, hey, wouldn't it be great if this champion from your country was represented in Marvel Contest of Champions? So stay tuned to the channel for more videos like this, as well as Marvel Contest of Champions content in general. I've been RichTheMan. Like, subscribe, and as always, I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye bye for now.